What's good, everybody? Back once again to give some of those recaps from the games up tonight. One of the games was parting is such sweet sorrow. Another series is ended, and by ended I mean ended. Um, yeah, I was like, I guess you know what? I was like, I'm just trying to think about which way to order. I was like, do I just go ahead and get the game out the way? Because I was like, hey, everybody else got that game out the way. Or do we go with the, you know what? You know what? We're going to go with the one that actually has something going on compared to this one. I won. I feel like this was a tale of, I feel like, both games, which, I don't know why it took me this long to figure out that they got Joel Embiid and they got Jokic playing on the same night. And I'm like, yo, that's smart. That's smart. They got them playing on the same night, so that kind of that way, you can always keep them going. It's smart. But um, no, but I think there was a really good. I was like, first of all, I was like, all these games, I was like, pretty much everybody came back except for one. Um, but everybody sort of came through in this Celtics game. Uh, and I was like, even though it looked like if I would have thought about it and I would have been like, and I don't, and I'm rambling here, but I don't get what's going on with Tatum at all. Where he he just doesn't do anything for like nearly like most of the quarters, but in the fourth quarters of the last couple games, I can't also say anything either. Like so it's like one of them like give or takes where it's like yeah, but he shows up when it counts when you need it. Um, I was like it was a really weird game because I was like it seemed like the Celtics really had it without Tatum doing anything. Then the Sixers got themselves right back into it, and then it would just seem like it would just uh like after that it just like ran out of gas. Also weird that neither team scored in the hundreds either. So to me that seemed like that would favor Philly. That seemed like that'd be a Philly game. Maxi got off in this game, and that's pretty much it. Embiid. My bad. I'm already thinking in my head like Embiid, and I was like, who came with him? Maxi, and that's it. To me, this was a game that you needed to have Harden show up. Tobias is really the other dude, but you can't really count on. I was like, you can't count on Tobias, so it's really always amongst those three. But for me, I'm like, Brown has always given you like a pretty decent amount, and Tatum has came along at some point. Marcus Smart has also been playing fairly well this in this series as well. Rob, I was like, Tom Lord only had like 10 points, but I swear it seemed like more. It seemed like he just kept getting out like alley oops a lot. But and Brogdon, Mr. Consistent. Um, but for Tatum to struggle the way he did, I'm like, if you could have just got Harden or somebody else, y'all could have just put him away. And I was like, they're down by 10, but I was like, it really was a closer game than that. But I was like, but it just like at that point, it was just like they just couldn't stop him. They couldn't get a stop. Um, enough, and like Tatum, Tatum just hit a couple three back to back to back that pretty much sealed the game, even though it wasn't like he didn't have a great spectacular game. It wasn't like a great necessarily game in itself, which those type of games you would think that Philly would be able to put it out. Now it's going to a game seven, and I'm like, huh, that's not a good look. But I was like, Embiid has been there, and Embiid got you one couple games ago, and to me, especially they got the two matched up. When you see the other dude that was able to sell out his next game, it's like, all right, Embiid, you either need to go bonkers, especially once you see nobody else is showing up. Like, yes, Max, I was like, yes, Maxie match you, but nobody else is showing up. Screw it. You just need to start dominating, and I was like he scored well, but I was like, but I feel like he's been taking a lot of jumpers as well. He seemed like he's been a lot more perimeter oriented. Where I'm like, there's nobody really that's like can really stop you once you get sort of like in the paint. And I get it, he got open shots to getting good looks. But I'm just like, yo, get them dudes like in, more in foul trouble and stuff like that, and like slow the game down. But anyway, so I was like, Game 7, and we're gonna see how that goes. Which I mean, I guess the next couple of series we can see that. But on the other end, who decided that we were gonna be done with this was Jokic himself, and there was gonna be no Chris Paul. Then there's no gonna be no DeAndre Jordan. And while DeAndre Jordan had a good series at all this series, I was like at all in any of these, man, he hadn't had a good game at all. Yeah. So in saying that, you would be like, well, I was like, well, him being missing, but I guess it's still at least the threat of him being there. And no, it really didn't make any difference. Jokic just sort of went through everybody. I was like Landale or whatever, pretty much gave the same amount of output that you was going to get from Aiton as far as like point rebounds and stuff like that. Even though he always played pretty good minutes, but this game just got so out of hand so fast, and it's crazy because I figured Jokic gonna get his point. But I did not see KCP over here getting 21 points. And the crazy part is that he got his amount of points. When on the other side, you got campaign giving you 31. And to me, if you were going to get a campaign game like that, to me, that sounds like that would be I was like, once again, the thing that if you hear it, if somebody would tell you, maybe you just look at the stat line or something like that, you'd be like, oh, this team must have won. No. Mm-mm. KD was a struggle, a struggle. Yeah, don't look at that box score, cause that not gonna tell you nothing. They were so far behind that it's like they gonna have to do something. I guess I was like, I don't know. I guess by the end, Booker just ain't have no more to give. I don't know. I was like, this is gonna be like the second year in a row. Everybody gonna talk about how like towards the end, like they ain't really like the way they whimpered out. But I do feel like this ain't the same thing. It's not the same thing as the meltdown as last year. I think this is just like Booker just running out of, because he's been carrying like last series to even like nearly halfway this series. He was pretty much matching um pretty much Jokic or Booker down to a T. That I just think by then it was just, and you got you got two solid KD games, and but it still wasn't KD how we all envisioned it. Just because Michael Porter Jr. didn't have a good series. Gordon was here and there. You got some things out of Bruce Brown and KCP and like Jeff Green that sort of difficult because the Suns don't have for their bench or whatnot. But Murray was sort of also up and down a bit as well. That you would think that if Booker and KD can rise to the occasion, that I'm like, that's sort of how they sort of won the two games they did it, because they went so high, and then you had a couple role play just play just enough to give you something else. But and I was like, because you're not stopping Jokic. He's too physical and big for any of the bigs they have, and as slow footed and stuff like that as he is, he's also too crafty to where they also can't really keep up with him too. Even though that's weird to say. Um, yeah, and so it was over before it even started. Like I'm like, a lot of y'all probably got sleep extra early. Um, and kudos to y'all, because that's what this game was. I was like, it pretty much was a snore fest. Like it's just like, oh, 30, 30, 20. Oh, okay. There's really no hope here. I heard one of the commentators talking about if they could just get this down to 18. And I'm like, who says that? Nobody ever says that, like, if they can get this down to 18. Oh, people are like, oh, can you get it down to 10 but not 18? No, that sounds like a losing effort at this point. And I think it was like going into the fourth quarter, like maybe like 2 minutes in the third or something like that. But yeah, so that's over. And I guess the Nuggets will wait to see who they either get the Lakers after tomorrow or Game 7. Um, and the way the Nuggets are playing, I actually don't know who would be the better matchup, to be honest. I mean, I guess that pose a real threat to the Nuggets. Because I was like, if the Lakers are on, they can. But they're so wishy-washy. But the thing, Golden State is sort of the same, too, that if they're on, they can beat Denver. But they're also a little bit wishy-washy with the rest of their crew. And so that makes it where it's almost like, and Jokic have been pretty much, he hasn't had a bad game. So therefore, if your star player ain't having a bad game compared to everybody else, and I was like, Curry can still have a good game while having a bad game. LeBron isn't where he's at to where he can really like he's not Cleveland, Miami, where it's like where he can take his will on the game like he used to. And so you would need AD, but then AD roller coaster at that point. Anyway, that was it. You liked anything you heard today or anything I had to say? Ooh, bars. Appreciate it. Thanks. If not, hey, maybe next time, maybe you check out some other stuff. But anyway, that's gonna be it. Peace. I'm out.